7 hidden signs you're a shadow chosen one in disguise. Have you ever felt like you're walking through this life wearing a mask that no one else can see? Like you're playing along with the script, smiling on cue, following the rules, but inside, something ancient is stirring, restless, watching, waiting. It's not darkness in the way people fear it. It's deeper than that. It's as if there's a part of you that sees behind the veil, that hears the silence between words, that notices what others overlook. You feel things others don't. You ask questions others run from. And even though you carry a storm inside, no one seems to notice, except maybe, just maybe, those who are walking the same hidden path. If that resonates, then this might be the first time someone tells you the truth. You might be a shadow chosen one in disguise. The world doesn't recognize shadow chosen ones easily. We don't fit the mold of the typical spiritual archetype. We're not always peaceful, not always smiling, not always filled with light. But that's because we're not here to float above the world, we're here to dive into it, to descend into the forgotten places of the soul, to walk through the fire, not to escape it. And that descent, that darkness, is not your punishment. It's your training ground, because the ones who are called to transmute shadow must first walk through it. Alone, blind, screaming in silence, and somehow still moving forward.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
You've probably felt it for a long time. That dissonance, that ache, that quiet voice that says, there's more. This isn't it. You've looked at the world and questioned why so many people seem content with surface-level existence. Why they run from discomfort, numb their emotions, and fear the unknown. You, on the other hand, have always been drawn to the edge, to the abyss, not because you're broken, but because you've been called to explore what others fear. You're not here to avoid your shadow, you're here to understand it, integrate it, and eventually become the bridge between darkness and light. And here's the thing about being a shadow chosen one, it doesn't come with a manual. There's no ceremony, no dramatic awakening on a mountaintop. It often begins with pain, isolation, loss. You're stripped of everything you thought you were, everything you thought you needed. Your relationships fall apart. Goals dissolve. The life you built starts to feel like a cage. And in the rubble of your identity, something else begins to rise. Something raw, something real, something ancient. But no one sees it because you're still wearing the disguise. You're still pretending to be normal. You're still trying to explain your soul in a language that was never meant for it. So let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly sensed what no one was saying? Have you ever felt a heavy, invisible weight that everyone else seemed blind to? Have you ever cried for reasons you couldn't explain, or felt joy so overwhelming it scared you? These are not random emotional imbalances, and these are signs, hidden signs. You are tuned into the frequency of the unseen. You are picking up the signals from the collective unconscious. You are being asked to see what others refuse to see and to feel what others try to bury. Shadow chosen ones aren't here to be loved by everyone. We're not here to be understood on the surface. We're here to disrupt, to awaken, to hold the mirror up to a world that has forgotten itself. And that's not a comfortable role. It's lonely, it's confusing, and it tests every part of you. But in that testing, you discover your real strength. The kind of strength that doesn't come from avoiding darkness, but from dancing with it. You're not crazy for feeling what you feel. You're not weak for breaking down. You're not lost because you've questioned everything. These are the symptoms of awakening, not the glamorous kind, but the real kind. The kind that starts in the dirt, in the grief, and in the silence. You didn't come here to escape the world. You came here to remember why it hurts and how to heal it. But you can't heal what you haven't faced. And that's why the universe chose you, because you don't run, not really. Even when you want to, even when your legs are trembling and your heart is shattered, you stay. You feel, you transform. The real question isn't, am I chosen? The real question is, what am I going to do now that I know I've been chosen? Because knowing changes everything. It shifts how you see your past. Suddenly, all the pain wasn't random, it was initiation. All the loneliness wasn't punishment, it was preparation. All the breakdowns weren't failures, they were sacred invitations. And now, as you stand at the edge of the next layer, the disguise begins to crack. You start to feel the power beneath your wounds. You start to hear the voice beneath the noise. And that voice is not soft. It doesn't whisper sweet nothings. It's fierce. It's ancient. It says, remember who you are. This path isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up fully, even when your voice shakes. It's about holding your own shadow with compassion and learning to love the parts of you that were once exiled. That's the real initiation. That's the real mastery. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the quiet moments when you choose truth over comfort. When you choose depth over distraction. When you choose to keep walking, even when the path disappears beneath your feet. So if you're still wondering whether you're a shadowed chosen one, maybe stop asking for external proof. Maybe start listening to the parts of you that already know. The part that survived everything. The part that's still here. The part that's never stopped searching. Because that part doesn't want answers, it wants embodiment. It wants you to stop hiding. It wants you to remember that power doesn't always look like light. Sometimes it looks like sitting in your own darkness and refusing to abandon yourself. You are more than your mask. You are more than your wounds. You are the storm and the stillness. You are the question and the answer. And if no one has told you before, let me say it now. I see you. I feel you. You're not alone. You are not broken. You are becoming, and what you're becoming is unstoppable. The mirror of shadows, when the darkness starts speaking to you. There's a moment in every shadow chosen one's journey that can't be explained with words, only felt. It's the moment when the darkness you've been running from suddenly stops chasing you and starts speaking to you. It doesn't roar. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It murmurs truths that shake the foundation of everything you thought you were. And in that moment, something irreversible occurs. You realize the shadow was never your enemy. It was your mirror. It was always trying to show you something you weren't ready to see. Not because you were weak, but because the timing hadn't yet ripened. But now the mirror is clear. Now the darkness has a voice. And now you're ready to listen. What happens when the mirror starts speaking is not beautiful at first. It's brutal. It shows you every place you abandoned yourself to fit in. Every time you silenced your truth to keep the peace. Every mask you wore to be loved, to be safe, to be seen. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't sugarcoat. It rips you open so it can show you the raw, unfiltered core of your being. And that core, my friend, is not fragile. It's fire. It's forged from lifetimes of surviving, healing, remembering. You are not delicate. You are divine. But you won't know that until you've looked into the mirror of your own shadow and dared to love what you see. Sometimes what stares back at you is rage. The kind of rage that's been festering in the basement of your psyche for years, maybe decades. It's the anger you were never allowed to feel. The fury that was labeled as too much, too intense, too dangerous. But here's a truth most people will never tell you: your rage is holy. Your rage is sacred. It's the alarm bell of your soul crying out against injustice, against betrayal, against the slow suffocation of your truth. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to awaken you, to shake you out of your slumber, to remind you that your boundaries matter, that your voice matters, that you matter. And sometimes what the mirror shows you is grief. Not just the grief of your own losses, but the ancestral grief, the collective grief. The sorrow of lifetimes where you were silenced, hunted, misunderstood. It's heavy. It wraps around your chest like a shroud. But if you sit with it, if you breathe into it, if you let it move through you without resistance, it transforms. It becomes compassion. Not the surface-level kind that avoids conflict, but the deep, fierce compassion that sees through the illusion of separation. That's what the shadow does. It breaks your heart open so wide that you begin to feel the world inside you. The mirror might also show you your patterns and the loops you've been stuck in, the relationships that mirrored your childhood wounds, and the cycles of self-sabotage, the addictions to being needed, to being right, to being invisible. And it won't just show you the surface, it'll take you to the root. It'll whisper, this is where you abandoned yourself. This is where you stopped trusting. This is where you forgot who you were. And in that moment you face a sacred choice. Will you keep playing the role, or will you reclaim the script? You see, the shadow doesn't come to destroy your light. It comes to purify it, to strip away the false light, the performative spirituality, the bypassing, the pretending. It doesn't care about how many affirmations you speak if you're still running from your truth. It cares about embodiment, about wholeness, about the kind of light that knows its own depth because it has been to the bottom of the ocean and kissed the darkness with reverence. That's the light that changes worlds. And to access it, you must become radically honest with yourself, first and foremost. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly listened to your shadow? Not judged it, not tried to fix it, just listened. When was the last time you asked your fear what it needed instead of trying to silence it? When was the last time you sat with your shame and said, I see you, I hear you, and I'm not leaving? These moments of presence are the turning points. They are the sacred pivots that shift your entire trajectory. Because once you stop running from your darkness, you realize it holds the blueprint to your liberation. The shadow is not here to keep you stuck. It's here to initiate you, to take you through the underworld so you can rise with the codes no one else carries. You are not here to be like everyone else. You are here to be the one who remembers, and the one who integrates, the one who walks into the fire and comes out carrying the flame. That's why your life has felt heavier than most. That's why you've always sensed you were being prepared for something greater. Because you are. And the preparation doesn't happen in the light. It happens in the silence, in the solitude, In the mirror. Where? In the mirror. And when you start to see every wound as a message, every trigger as a teacher, every shadow as a guide, you begin to move differently. You don't react from fear. You respond from wisdom. You don't shrink in shame. You rise in sovereignty. You don't run from your emotions. You become the container that can hold them all. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you rare. Not your perfection, but your capacity for presence, your ability to hold paradox, to be both the storm and the calm, both the wound and the healing, both the darkness and the light. This is the path of the shadow chosen one. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's holy. And the deeper you go, the more you realize it's not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. The sacred chaos, why your life keeps falling apart before it comes together. There's a moment in every awakening where it feels like everything begins to collapse. Not just around you, but within you. Your relationships shift or dissolve. Your job starts to feel meaningless. The things that once brought comfort now feel like cages. You try to hold on, but the more you grip, the more everything slips. And you begin to ask yourself, what's happening to me? But the deeper question, the more sacred question, is this: what is being stripped away so that the truth can finally emerge? The truth is, when you're a shadow chosen one, your life doesn't fall apart because you failed. It falls apart because you're too powerful to live in illusion. You're too awake to settle for systems built in fear. You're too aligned with your soul to maintain a life that was chosen from your wounds. So the universe, in its brutal wisdom, begins to dismantle everything that isn't aligned. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Not to destroy you, but to create space for the real you to finally arrive. We often talk about transformation as if it's a gentle unfolding like a flower blooming in spring. But that's not how it feels. Real transformation is chaotic. It's messy. It looks like confusion, breakdowns, sleepless nights, and the haunting sense that you're losing your mind. But what you're really losing is the version of yourself that was built for survival, not truth. And that's sacred. That's holy. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. You didn't come here to play small. You didn't come here to be comfortable. You came here to remember, and remembrance doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in the fire, in the letting go, in the emptying out of everything that was never truly yours to begin with. That's why your life keeps falling apart, because your soul refuses to let you stay asleep. It loves you too much to let you settle. And yet, in the middle of the chaos, it's easy to forget this. It's easy to think something's wrong with you, that you're behind, that you've made a mistake. But pain is not a mistake. It's information. It's guidance. It's your soul's way of saying, not this, not anymore. And when you listen, really listen, it starts to make sense. The job that fell through, it was a prison. The relationship that ended, it was a mirror for your unhealed parts. The breakdown you had, it was the opening that let your spirit breathe again. But here's the paradox. The more your life unravels, the more your truth is revealed. The more you surrender control, the more the path appears. Because the path of the shadow chosen one is not built by logic. It's built by trust. It's walked in darkness. It's navigated by intuition, by resonance, by the quiet inner knowing that says, this way, even if it makes no sense to the mind. That's why others don't understand what you're going through. They haven't been called the way you have. They haven't been cracked open by the sacred chaos. And you will be misunderstood. You will be questioned, even by yourself. But remember this, every great awakening is preceded by great undoing. That every soul who came here to bridge the light and the dark had to walk through their own shadows first. You're not alone in this. You're part of a lineage of souls who chose to descend so they could rise, who chose to forget so they could remember, who chose the storm so they could carry the calm. So when everything falls apart, don't ask, why me? Ask, what part of me is no longer true? Ask, what deeper truth is trying to emerge through this collapse? Because behind every ending is a doorway. Behind every loss is a lesson. And behind every moment of sacred chaos is a deeper alignment waiting to be born. This is not the end of your story. It's the dismantling of the false chapter. The chapter written from fear, from programming, from who you thought you had to be. And now that it's falling apart, you get to write a new one from your essence, from your soul, from your truth. But first, you must allow the old to burn. You must bless the ashes. You must sit in the not knowing and trust that what's being rebuilt is more authentic, more aligned, more powerful than anything you could have planned. The sacred chaos is not a detour, it's the path. It's the alchemy, and you're not being destroyed. You're being refined. The fire is not your enemy, it's your initiation. Let it burn what no longer serves. Let it illuminate what was hidden. Let it reveal the indestructible truth of who you are. You are not broken. You are breaking open. You are not lost. You are being rerouted. You are not being punished. You are being prepared for something so much bigger than you can yet see. The rise of the unseen ones, why the world needs your truth now more than ever. There is a quiet revolution happening. It doesn't shout. It doesn't march in the streets. It moves beneath the surface, in the hearts of those who have always felt out of place, in the souls of the ones who have known pain too intimately to ever be fully fooled by this world. These are the unseen ones, the empaths, the mystics, the cycle breakers, the truth speakers, the ones who carry ancient codes in modern bodies, the ones who have walked through their own shadows not for glory, but because their soul demanded it. And now, as the world begins to shake and fracture and reveal its foundations for what they really are, these ones are rising, quietly, powerfully, unshakably. And if you're still here, still breathing, still listening, it means you're one of them. You might not have realized it until now. You might have spent most of your life feeling like an outsider, like you were born too deep for a world that lives on the surface. Maybe you learned to hide your insights, to dull your shine, to apologize for your sensitivity. Maybe you wore masks. Maybe you played roles. Maybe you convinced yourself that fitting in was safer than standing out. But no more, because now the veil is thinning. The collective soul is stirring. The earth is calling. And your truth is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. The world doesn't need perfection. It doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more projections of strength that are really masks for fear. What it needs is realness, rawness, presence. The kind of presence that only comes from someone who has faced themselves in the dark and come back carrying light. Not a blinding light that burns, but a steady glow that guides. A light that says, I've been there too, and I didn't die. I healed. I remembered. And now, I'm here to walk with you back into your own truth. You don't need a stage to be powerful. You don't need millions of followers to be impactful. You just need to show up in your life as who you really are. Every time you speak your truth, even if your voice trembles, especially if your voice trembles, you become a catalyst. Every time you choose integrity over approval, depth over ease, embodiment over performance, you ripple out into the field of the collective. You remind others what's possible when we stop pretending, when we stop performing, when we stop betraying ourselves for the illusion of belonging. Your story matters not because it's perfect, but because it's real. Your scars matter not because they're pretty, but because they're proof. Proof that you endured, that you transformed, that you chose to stay when it would have been easier to disappear. And now, those scars become maps. Maps for others who are still lost in the dark. You don't need to fix anyone. You just need to be a lighthouse. And lighthouses don't chase ships. They just stand tall and shine. That's what you're here to do. This is the era of remembrance, of reclamation, or of rising, not with ego, not with superiority, but with humility, with reverence, with the quiet knowing that comes from having walked through your own underworld and chosen love anyway. The world is starved for this kind of energy, and you, dear one, are full of it, because you've earned it, because you've embodied it, because you've become it. And yes, people will misunderstand you. They will project onto you. They will try to put you in boxes that no longer fit. But that's not your burden. Your job is not to be digestible. Your job is to be authentic and to be fully alive, to be a living transmission of truth in a world addicted to illusion. And every time you choose that path, even when it costs you comfort, you anchor a new reality into this dimension. You are not here to be saved. You are here to remember that you were never lost. You are not here to follow. You are here to lead not with force, but with frequency, but not with domination, but with devotion. But you are not here to escape the messiness of life. You are here to alchemize it, to find the sacred within the ordinary, to breathe life into forgotten spaces, and to remind humanity of what it means to be whole. So rise, not because it's easy, but because it's time. Rise, not because you're ready, but because your soul already knows the way. Rise for every version of you that was silenced, dismissed, ridiculed, or ignored. Rise for the ones who are watching, waiting, wondering if it's safe to be who they really are. Rise because the world needs what only you can give. Your voice, your presence, your truth. This is not the end of your awakening. It's the beginning of your embodiment. You are not becoming something new. You are simply removing the layers of forgetting. And beneath it all, what's left is something holy, something unstoppable, something eternal. You, creation, Kradir. And the world is finally ready for you.